Well, John, welcome to the Leaders Who Care series.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for having me.
I was trying to figure out if you were the longest last name I've ever had, but I'm not sure. It's longer than Sadovnik, but it might be. There's a couple of Polish names that thing, but it might be. So, everybody's got to have something, right?
Well, I definitely did well in learning my writing in school. My full name is Jonathan William Higginbotham, and writing that out definitely took some hand muscles. So I got ahead quick in that area, but I don't know if it meant anything.
I hope you never got in trouble with the teacher that told you to write your name 50 times in full.
N No,
Hmm?
luckily, no, no.
Well, good to have you. It was great to meet you at our Tower Capital offices and learn what kind of like you were a lovable person. And I guess people will figure out what that means when we get on with this little bit. But best place to start, like I usually say, is to tell us about yourself. But and I also say this, I always have to put an asterisk, especially for men, because when I say tell us about yourself, they immediately go to their title and what they do. But that's not the question. The question is, where are you from originally? Where are you now? What do you feel comfortable talking about family? What's something you potentially never told anybody and you want to reveal to the world now? That's always fun as well. So share a little bit about Jonathan William Higginbotham, you said?
Yep, yeah, sure. Uh, I I grew up, well, first let me say this, and this I think segues at least partially into my professional life is that I went to school, started in school for culinary out of high school. Ended up, as a lot of people do, like they just kind of just don't go for what their degree was or what they were going for in school. But I still kind of held that thread, the creative thread, and we can talk about this more because like I really just enjoy what gets me going is creating things and showing things to people and sharing those things. And I think that's like core part of my own fulfillment, and I think is kind of a core human thing.
Yeah.
But I grew up. That's what I did. I still cook on occasion, or at least as much as I can when I can find time. Um, and I share that with the people that I love, and that's a big part of who I am.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in uh, Portland, Oregon, and in the San Francisco Bay Area.
So a heavy duty extreme conservative.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And
Um,
also, too, I think I got like good equal parts of like melancholy Pacific Northwest and happy, sunny California. So
yes.
I think I have a good balance.
Did you ever watch Portlandia?
Oh, I love it. Yes. Yeah, I still watch it. Yeah.
It was pretty funny. So how old were you? Were you born in Portland?
No, actually, so I was born in Fremont, California, but then we moved up to Portland area and lived there for half of my childhood, and then came back down to the Bay Area.
Um, I think it's just what's this place called? Oh, it starts with a K. K Falls, something Falls. K Falls. They have algae in their. They harvest algae. Not Kahlua. That's the drink.
Oh, like Klamath Falls?
Yeah, Klamath Falls. Exactly. I've been there.
Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful area. I love the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, it is nice. So you did you grow up? How old were you when you were growing up there?
So I spent most of my childhood there until I was freshman high school, and then I switched down to the Bay Area and did most of my high school in the Bay Area.
Okay. Do you have siblings?
Yeah, I have three siblings. I have two sisters and a brother. Two of them, some of them are still in Oregon, and the other half are in, including my dad, are in the Bay Area still.
Cool. And what about your family?
And I personally have three kids. A stepdaughter, Bryn, she's 11, and I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. Um,
Very cool. You should call her
yeah,
your bonus daughter, not stepdaughter.
I should. We can fix that in post.
Yeah, you can. And because I actually have a bonus daughter who's married to my middle son, and she's from Denmark, and that's the term they use. So I picked that one up. I think it's a lot better term. So,
Oh yeah, I
um,
agree.
um, what were you guys like when you were growing up together?
We were, I mean, we were, I don't want to say like the times are so different now. And every time, like as a father now, like I think about what my environment was and what I'm giving my children. And it's just like, it does seem worlds apart.
I know.
Because I was like a cold, like a cul-de-sac kid. Like we would just go roam. I would just be out and about, and my parents wouldn't really care. I'm sure they
Right.
did care at some level, but we were just like, free range or, within the neighborhood, getting into a bunch of trouble. I can't imagine giving my kids the same latitude to the extent that I had, but
I'm pretty sure
yeah,
you
that's
didn't
what it
wear a
was like.
helmet on your bicycle.
Yeah, yeah. That no, I did not. Yeah.
Right.
Um,
Did you guys get along? Did you like you know did you play Lego? Did you build forts? Did you what did you do when you were younger?
I was in the middle, and I was the troublemaker, the defiant one. I spent a lot of my time antagonizing my siblings.
Hmm.
Um, and we, we just got in a group of kids, neighborhood kids, and like just ran shenanigans. I remember just like one, this is kind of an embarrassing story, but one just like going to a neighbor's house saying that we needed, our parents sent us because they needed some TP and they really urgently needed it, and then them giving us TP and us using it to make like to go like just TP stuff and like make like a finish line across the street and then just running around just causing havoc. That's so I'm really not doing my character any favors, but that's what I did when I was a kid.
When you were a kid? Well, you know, you were a kid, so that's cool. And did you have a lemonade stand growing up? Were you entrepreneurial at that point?
No, but I always dream big. I always like kindergarten, first grade, whatever. What do you want to be when you grow up? And my answer was, I want to be the president. It was the biggest thing that I could think of, and I always wanted to have a big impact. That stayed with me for forever until this day. Like my driver is, I just want to have a big impact, and that's changed how that looks. But yeah.
I like the fact that imagination's back with with astronauts and rockets and whatnot. Because I used to know when I grew up, I'm older than you. We had the imagination from the NASA doing all their stuff like that, and I think creativity is really important. There's reasons I asked this question. Number one, because I think it's interesting, and you usually find some kind of thread that goes up, all the way in your life from some of the stuff you did as a kid. Now, I was supposed to be a pro hockey player or a sports broadcaster, but Jewish mother makes you become an accountant, basically. Um, how did um, you went to high school, then and then whatnot? When did you start to realize or think you knew what you wanted to do?
I've thought I knew what to do many times, changed
Hmm.
my mind just as many, but only really found confidence in that footing probably late 20s ish. And I think that it was for me at least important to prototype a lot. And I tell this to people who ask me for any type of like career advice, and I've heard this myself, is like exposure is the best way to figure out, what do you want. And I had an art teacher um, that like I remember this distinctly, like showing us how to draw a circle and like a perfect circle. And we were in this section of where we're just like going through like sketching real life stuff, and like people are like, how do I draw? Like everyone's trying to like draw a circle perfectly the first time, and you couldn't ever like get it right. And then she would just come over and say, no, 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 you draw many light circles, and then like the perfect circle like reveals itself. So like that's the same way that I look at like, okay, how do I find my direction? It's like, well, you gotta draw a lot of circles first.
That makes sense. I had an art teacher that we got punished one day because we weren't using scissors properly. So we lost art class because we weren't using our scissors properly. So go figure. I hadn't thought of that in a long time since now. But see what you brought up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, I did find it interesting when I was looking at your background, and I'm making sure I got it right. You worked for um, you were in the press, sort of. You were in the press, and you were in somewhat,
Yeah.
I mean, the Championship Gaming Series and Quantic Gaming. Did that just happen?
You're yeah, boy, that's been a long time. You're the first person that's ever asked me about that in a long time. Yeah, so in high school and after high school, I was really involved into competitive gaming. Um, and got into a lot of different ventures and found myself working for a television show, short-lived television show called the Championship Gaming Series, as you mentioned. And I worked for a couple of their franchises as a just like a site writer, writing editorials, game recaps. It's esports, and esports is like a lot more ubiquitous now, or at least but back then it really wasn't. And landing a show on that was on G4 was like really big. We felt like we made it at that point, but yeah, that's funny. Funny you mentioned that. I haven't thought about that in a long time.
Well, anything I can do to help. Bring back
Thank
good
you.
memories. And so then I can understand, why you decided to go into logistics, and stuff. But I also found it interesting because, and I like it because what you said before, you about trying new things. I mean, you were involved in some sales, you were involved with wines, and what I have a hard time understanding is how did you get into real estate?
It was the tech. So I joined. So after giving logistics a go, that was just like my waffling period of like in my early 20s. Like, I don't know what I want to do. I need to make money. I got a roommate full of other guys, and we just want to like game and like have fun. But then I found myself and my bosses were always like, "Yo, you should get into tech. Like, you're like the tech guy." Um,
You're the tech guy.
and and me never really believing it. But then I just got into I joined the wine importer company, and being their tech guy, their IT systems guy, was pushed into software development then, and because they needed somebody there to help make their ERP, and so I was pigeonholed and did that, and found that I had skills worth developing. From there, the story is that like the one I like to say is that like the app that I made for them, their ERP, it was nominated for an award. Flew to Rotterdam, um, and didn't get it. I was beat by this other company called EXP Realty,
Huh.
and was mad about it. Came back and I was like, you know, F those guys. Like I'm gonna come back stronger. I'm gonna make something better. But also was interested in what they had built and like connected with them and was like asking them about questions about how they did it. So if you can't beat them, join them. That's I think the punchline I'm trying to drive to, of which I did, and I joined them, and then really jump started my software development career. Became their first principal developers there after 5 years. And they're EXP Realty is like one of the biggest brokerages
No, no, yeah.
in the nation,
Well,
yeah.
I find it interesting and fantastic actually because there was a time where people were thinking people playing games are just wasting their time and whatnot. Then they started realizing, holy, okay, maybe it is good to be outside once in a while, but they're also developing such great hand-eye coordination, such great skill sets of critical thinking, even to some degree, in
Mhm.
games, and becoming maybe surgeons, or even now they're training. There were so many applications for air traffic controllers from gamers, which they need air traffic controllers, and somebody had the brilliant idea we should advertise to gamers, and thousands applied for those jobs. So mom and dad who said it was a waste of time playing games, it actually wasn't, even though they thought so initially. And it looks like it looks like then that ended up being your love type of thing. And with that said, then can you give me a sense of how you give us a sense of what Paradigm is and what you're doing at Paradigm?
Yeah, in short, we're a boutique software development consulting firm that consists of like a lot of staff projects. So we're doing build outs for specifically for enterprises. The idea was me and a bunch of other senior developers at EXP Realty were like, look, we've been making apps at large scales, and we think that we could bring this knowledge to other companies and start our own firm. And that's what we did. And so we've been doing that for about 2.5 years. And then about 10-ish months, maybe a year ago, caught on to this AI vibe coding wave. And that's what segued me into Lovable. But I do want to touch on something that you mentioned that before. I don't want to let go of the gaming community
Hmm.
thread because it ties directly. I've been thinking about it a lot because there's something there that feeds my current passion, which is like events. Sorry to jump to the end, but like we in-person events and building of community because we do while at Paradigm we've run a lot of different events both for community purposes, developers and things, and for enterprise like private things like we did at your place. Um, and I really value the in-person aspect. And I often look to the gaming community of what in-person events could be, especially for like people just like, okay, how do you figure out how do you make something where people can connect over like shared passion, like or learning something? And like the gaming community has really brought that to the
Big time.
forefront.
Yeah.
And so I often think about that. I often think about these LAN parties that I was at with my friends, or like people talking about the biggest gaming event that's touring the US and like, oh, did you go to DreamHack? Like it was insane. Like the hype and the energy around that. And I think about, okay, how do I replicate that? Like how do I do something like that? But for my interest now, which is like software building, app building and AI.
And I'm glad you brought it up. And that's kind of where I was trying to take the thread is, we judge people so quickly in this world on a lot of different aspects, including what they do and where they do it and this and that and the other, rather than looking for, wow, these gamers can actually be air traffic controllers and they get thousands of replies that, yeah, they'd love to do that. Um, who would have thunk? And, some guy sitting in his little room playing a game for the first 15 years of his life or in the basement you know, is going to maybe is has the inspiration of a Bill Gates to build something unbelievable if you just let him out to do it and look for just really look for and search for and ask for and get people together to see what could happen type of deal. And so that's why I'm glad you brought up the events too, because no matter if it's my favorite a hockey game, especially ice hockey game, or games, there's something good about coming together that we really need in this world right now. And the series is called Leaders Who Care, by the way. And so when I saw you doing your thing there, I saw it happening. People were happy. People were doing stuff. People were, and that's what it's about. And in the meantime, it's good for business too. So, what's one of the more interesting experiences you've had? Let's get gaming in general, but also at Paradigm.
I think gaming in general, there's like there is so many different experiences, but it always comes back to like core experiences, which is the human connection ones. We always got ragged on in the beginning of esports, and just by the common criticism was like, okay, I go outside, and I always felt like during the time when I was into it, like I am making connections here. Like I am, it's like I can't think of anywhere else where like you could just become friends with people like like instantly. Like you game together. It's like you're going to war together or something. Not like that, but like I mean, not to diminish anything, but like that's what it felt like. You're when you enjoy something that you love with somebody
Hmm.
else who also loves the same thing, that the connection there is like really instant. Um, so that's the things that I remember, and I still have friends that I talk to that are always like, gaming friends, and we just often like when I do have time to game, which is pretty much none now with a family and a job and a business. But when I do, it's like there's always people I can call and like you just pick up where you left off. And in Paradigm, obviously, no, it's not like that at all. There is interesting like problems to solve. I'm working out different muscles. Um, but ultimately, like I tried to run Paradigm um, with problem like we're a boutique firm. We like accepting clients that we think we can deliver value to, but also that like we think that we would get value from as well. Not just like, okay, I want a big logo, but we also are interested in like doing something new, and having things being fulfilling for us personally too. For me, I like problems that are new, novel. So like we're selective in that way, but
Hmm.
yeah, those are the things I remember. And then now, of course, we've been doing a lot of events, and that's what I've been honestly mostly enjoying.
And how did you get introduced, or what was the connection to Lovable?
So I'll share my secret that you
Oh,
asked about in
cool.
the
Pay
beginning.
attention, everybody.
Okay. Uh, like I said, 10 months ago, uh, I had something like a existential crisis. I think that as a lot of people in tech are having, about their skill set going away, or at least that's how it
Sure.
appears. So we're
Hmm.
software developers, and like AI is coming in, like the word is okay, we're going to be out of a job. So like that's very scary. And in a business owner perspective, I was like completely frightened. And managing a business so far has been a big burden on its own.
Hmm.
And trying to figure out what our vision is, how we're going to survive, took a lot. Took a lot. It took a lot out of me, and it took like, it
Sure.
took a good solid month of me just like withdrawing, if I'm honest, and like really trying hard to figure out what am I going to do. So eventually, I decided, the best cure for that is action, and to do that, wanted to get involved and not resist the change, but be a part of it. So I looked up, or I had known about Lovable because at that time they were just completed. I think it was either Series A or Series B, and it was the most funded, the most funded or the highest growing startup of all time. So I went into their Discord. I just hung out in the community. I was familiar with Discord already from gaming, but that's where a lot of their support in their community was, and got a crash course on Lovable, because people will come in with their problems, and that's the best way for me to learn, is to help, see how people are solving problems. And then from there, became one of their community champions, and they took notice of me and then got invited to be in their Vibe Coder in Residence program. And I still work with them there, and as well as running events. Like I'm running one in a couple of days in San Francisco for them, and just running hackathons and making things. So super fun.
Well, it's a lovable name, huh? So okay, I see right there. So
You had to do that,
I
yeah.
had to do it. I think. No, it's really cool, and I love the whole thread that we've talked about, where with all the judging and all the stuff that's going on in the world, we should be, yeah, and we shouldn't be fearful of things happen. Fearful is not even the right word. Trying to, know that there's other people around that are going to try to make things happen also. And a lot of times, for the most time, when stuff comes out and people are afraid of change, other good stuff happens too. But it works much faster, much better, when you collaborate, with others, and gaming and stuff you're doing can do that. I wanted to ask you a couple other one other quick question, and then a last one. Is there one experience in your business life, or maybe even before in your kids, one experience that really stood out for you that you think made an impact, maybe immediately you knew it, or years later?
Oh, that is a great question. You're really putting me on the spot.
That's what I do.
Mm, I think, yeah, and it's not, I don't think it's going to be as poetic, but you know, I was told often in school that I wasn't like living up to my potential. Like I was from teachers, like I was always very smart, but lacked the follow through, didn't do the homework because I was just distracted with things that interested me.
Right.
Like a
Sure.
typical, like ADHD kid. But like, I think a lot about that now because it took a lot. It took, so far my lifetime to figure out how do I live up to my potential. And I think I'm still getting there. But I always think back to those teachers now, I'm like telling me like you have a lot of potential, like you can do more than you're doing. And it didn't make a difference to me then. Like then I was like, I couldn't hear it. I couldn't see it. But now I think about it and learning what I have, like I do realize that, the key was just me believing that I could as well. And once I unlocked that, that meant like, okay, then I could do anything. I could start a business. I can be successful. I cannot be successful, but I can get back up again. And I can enjoy events and I can put on the biggest events that I could ever dream of. And the key was just believing that I could. And then the world moved for me.
No, that's great. Thanks for sharing that. This expression, you only need one person to believe in you, including yourself. And I love Michael Jackson's song "Man in the Mirror." It's an amazing, amazing song. Whatever you think of Michael Jackson, he was a genius anyway. But amazing, amazing song. And we'll talk about influencers in a minute. But in the same way you felt that, we're influencing people all the time also, and we have a choice to be positive or negative, and take that gamer or take this person or just really tell a person you can type of deal, and it can make a big difference. So I appreciate you sharing that because I think there's probably a lot of people that felt the same way in their own life too. That hopefully even comments like right here would get noticed. One other question. Because you know what we say in LA, you got to leave them wanting more so you can do a sequel. That's what happens here in LA. But COVID was what, 6 years ago. Some people still feel it feels like yesterday as well. Um, got stuff going on in the world, challenges and families and whatnot. With all of that, what are you most grateful for and what are you most hopeful for?
The easy answer that what I'm most grateful for is of course like my family, my
Mhm.
kids. That's the obvious, and also that's uh, if I could do a cop out, that's what I'm most hopeful
That's not a cop out,
for
it's a
as
good
well.
answer.
Um, outside of them, I am hopeful for both personally and professionally what we've already like talked about of the how do I facilitate human connection in whatever I can do with events or whatever adventures that I'm hoping to get into. Um, that's what I'm most hopeful for going forward, and I think that's what everybody wants. Um, so so yeah.
Good answer. Yeah, I would say the same thing. And you know, a leader who does care wants to bring humans together and connect them, for good. So if I had a sticker, I'd give you one, but I don't have a sticker that they used to give in school. But thanks for sharing all that, and thanks for being a leader who cares.
Thank you, Mark, and thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.